The Toronto Maple Leafs continue to make moves after deadline. That's going to be crucial for them next season. And the Buffalo Sabres are rolling with this player coming up huge for them. I'll get into that later on in this episode. Before I start, I just want to say to everyone watching that's not subscribed, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. Keep up to date with everything around the league with us. And with that, let's hop straight into the first topic today, which is Sabres pushing for the playoffs. Now, the big part of the Sabres pushing for the playoffs is the emergence of Bowen Byram. Bowen Byram was obviously acquired by the Buffalo Sabres from the Colorado Avalanche in a 1-1 for Casey Mittelstadt. Now, since Bowen got to the team, he's just been outstanding. With his second goal of tonight's game, Bo is now the only Sabres defenseman all time to record 3+ in their first 3 games with the Sabres. Now, when you do look at the 3 games with the Sabres, which are the top 3 here, you can see in the first game against Nashville, he had 1 goal, 1 assist, 1 block shot. Then you see the next game against Edmonton that they did win in a shootout. Yes, he did not have any points. He was a -1, but he still played nearly 26 minutes on ice. And then when you get to the game against Detroit, he had 2 goals in a huge win, 7-3 against the Detroit Red Wings, which is a team that they are currently trying to fight to pass in the standings to make the playoffs. He also registered 2 hits in this game in 23 minutes and 14 seconds time on ice. Once they got him, this looked like such a good trade for the Sabres, and now things are even looking better. Yes, they moved on from Mittelstadt, but they bring in a guy that is a legitimate top 2 defenseman that's still young, and they can build with this core. With Byram on the ice at 5-on-5 Tuesday night, the Sabres outshot the Red Wings 18-8 and racked up 13 scoring chances to Detroit's 5. Individually, Byram led all Sabres skaters with 6 shot attempts for a total of a .43 expected goals. This guy, like I said, has been outstanding for the Sabres. They move on from a young guy, they bring in another young guy in Byram, and he seems like he is the perfect fit to play next to Rasmus Dahlin. I mean, when you do look at Byram, he's only 22 years old. He's 6'1", 190 pounds. You can see he has the experience. Yes, he did go through a couple of ruts with injuries, but if you just look at 2021, 2022, this is the biggest thing with this. This guy played 20 games in the playoffs, became a Stanley Cup champion, had 9 assists while averaging 19 minutes and 22 seconds time on ice. In the final game of that series, in the finals against the Tampa Bay Lightning, you could see that he played a third high on the team of 25 minutes and 40 seconds time on ice. This guy can put up points. We can see it around his stats. 17 points in 30 games that year, 9 points in the playoffs. In 42 games, he had 10 goals, 14 assists. 55 games, he had 8 goals, 12 assists. And so far with the Buffalo Sabres, he has 3 games played, 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points at the age of 22. He was a former 4th overall pick, and he seems like the perfect fit. The big thing to look at this as well is the fact that the Sabres are climbing the standings. You can see the wild card here. Right now, Tampa is first in the wild card spot. They're currently on a 4-5-1 record in the last 10. The Islanders are number 2 with a 7-3 record in their last 10. But you can see some of these teams are starting to struggle. The Detroit Red Wings have fell out. We've seen a fight happen during their practice. They are starting to slide. They're 4-6 in the last 10. And down in 5th place, fighting for the wild card spot, is the Buffalo Sabres with a 6-3-1 with a win streak of 2, which is by far the best out of any of these teams. So the biggest thing with this is not only are the Sabres fighting to get into the playoffs, but since getting Byram, this team has looked rejuvenated. They've looked outstanding. Byram has came in, looked like a legitimate top 2 defenseman. I mean, he did this during a Stanley Cup run, which a lot of people aren't going to realize or really look into. This is a guy, like I said, 22 years old. He's providing offense on this team, defense. He's playing on the top line. He's playing power play time, penalty kill time. This guy can do everything. And he has a Stanley Cup, not as just a 6th defenseman, not as a 7th defenseman. This was a top 3 defenseman on a Stanley Cup winning team. He had guys like Devon Taves, Cale Makar next to him. But this guy played the minutes. As I said, he was 3rd on the team in the Game 6 of the finals with with two guys being above him, Devon Taves and, of course, Darcy Kemper, who played the entire 60 minutes. This guy's going to help the Sabres not just this year, not just next year, for the future, and the Sabres have sneakily one of the best D-cores in the league, and as I said, not just this year, but for the future. So what's your guys' thoughts on this? Do you think Bowen Byram was the steal of deadline? Do you think the Sabres got an absolute stud that can come in and look like their second best defenseman or even close to a franchise player? What's your thoughts on the Sabres? Do you think they're going to end up making the playoffs? And what's your thoughts if they make the playoffs? Do you think they could actually make some noise? Because with this young team being into this race, they're going to want to prove a lot, especially if they get in. But with that, let's hop straight into the second topic today, which is Leafs extend Bobby McMann. Now, obviously, this did come out today, and this is an article wrote by Kyle Cushman. Leafs extend Bobby McMann to a 2-year, $2.7 million extension. He is getting paid $1.35 million, and this was announced today, just a couple of hours ago. Now, when you do look at this, the Leafs announced they signed Bobby McMann. The winger was supposed to be a healthy scratch on February 13th, but played because of an illness that hit the room and Tavares couldn't dress. He scored a hat trick and hasn't really looked back since. Now, like I said, you got this guy on a 2-year deal. He is 27 years old. He was going in as a UFA, but you get Bobby McMann, Bob. You get this guy for 2 more years, and this is a sneaky signing by the Leafs. This is a guy that I still don't understand. Cleared waivers to start the year. He went down to the Marlies, and this is just a feel-good story out of a guy like Bobby McMann. As I said, 27 years old, 6'2", 210 pounds. He has 84 hits this year, 10 goals, 8 assists for 18 points, 36 PIMs, and he is a +6. Now, when you really look into this, he's an undrafted player the Leafs did pick up, and you can just see all what he fought through to get into this position and get this 2-year deal with the Leafs. You can see he started off in the ECHL before going to the Marlies for 21 games. He played with the Newfoundland Growlers for 4 games, went back to the Marlies to play 61 games where he scored 24 goals. He had a brief stint with the Leafs in 2022-2023. In 10 games, he had 1 assist, a -2, but then you can see the progression really start. In 30 games in 22-23, he had 21 goals, 8 assists for 29 points with the Toronto Marlies. This year, as I said, when you look at 23-24, he did get sent down. He cleared waivers, and he put up 2 goals, 1 assist, and 3 points before he was called up to the Leafs and ultimately, like I said, had 10 goals, 8 assists for 18 points. Now, this is just outstanding. Like I said, this was a guy that was once going to be a healthy scratch. He came in, scored a hat trick, hasn't looked back since. The biggest thing with this, too, is just the fact, like I said, he cleared waivers. Every other team in the National Hockey League looked at this guy and said, hey, we don't want him. We don't want to take on his league minimum cap hit. Send him down to the Marlies. He came back up, and he's looked perfect on this third line. When you do look at his elite prospects, which is quite old, but a big body all-around forward that has good offensive instincts and excellent positional awareness during unfolding plays, plays a power game, and drives the net hard. Fluent skater has room to improve near the top of his acceleration to become more explosive. His maturity, character, and willingness to do what it takes to win is embodied by his humanity in taking the time to improve and learn all aspects of multiple roles. Explosive shot release, puck handling ability, huge potential as a two-way forward. As I said, Bobby McMann is going to be massive for this team. You see this team that's going into their so-called cap crunch, getting a guy that can come in and be a serviceable third liner at $1.3 million. If you put a guy like, I don't know, Domi and another reliable kind of center next to him next season, I think this could be one of the league's best third lines. This is a guy that has the potential to hit 20 goals next year, especially having another full year with the Leafs, going into the offseason, training camp, not having to worry, and getting into this roster full-time next season. He's going to make an impact. He's going to be massive at $1.3 million. And it looks like one of the better contracts in the league, especially for a guy that's not only going to fit into your bottom six, but this is a guy you can move up into the lineup and still make an impact. You can put him with Matthews and Marner, Tavares and Nylander, wherever it is. Bob McMahon's going to make an impact. He's going to try his hardest. And this is one of the better contracts I think the Leafs have. And I think next season, 30 points, 20 goals, 40 points. None of this is out of the realm. Bob McMann is in Toronto for 2 more seasons, and I could not be more excited. So what's your thoughts on this? Do you think this is a great contract for Bobby? Were you expecting less? Were you expecting more? Do you think he's nothing more than a fourth liner and I'm kind of hyping up? Because I definitely don't think that's the case. But we'll get into everyone's favorite topic, which is comment of the day. And comment of the day today goes to Rob. And he says, Casey and Mark, what do you guys think the Leafs will do next season? And that's a big question. Like I said, they're starting to fall together on what the team's going to look like. Obviously, you still have guys like Bertuzzi, Domi. These guys need to be signed. Klingberg will be off the book. Brody's a UFA. You have so many pieces, but the Leafs do have cap, and I think this is where Treliving's really going to make an impact on this roster of big body bruisers that can still produce for this team. If you guys want to see a full video on just talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs offseason, what to expect, what they might look like, or prospect breakdowns, let me know down in the comments. But with that, that'll be it for this episode of Hat Trick HQ. If you wanted to go down, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. We'd love to see you guys in the next episode. But with that, take care.